The Salvation Army under scrutiny as Denver decides whether to renew a big contract for homeless shelters. People have been calling that nonprofit for help dozens, hundreds of times without a response. International students in Colorado lose their visas as the Trump administration looks to remove visa holders who say things the administration doesn't like. Boulder doesn't have enough hotel rooms for the Sundance Film Festival.
Anything big that happens here really has a ripple effect up for all of us.
And high schoolers are helping build a facility for their peers with special needs.
I've always felt like, doing my part was a big part of my life.
That's tonight on Next. Denver City Council is considering whether to renew a big contract with the Salvation Army to run the city's homeless shelters. It's a bad time for that nonprofit to be dealing with a string of negative headlines. A Salvation Army employee was charged with sexual assault at one of the shelters last month. And now advocates and families tell our Angeline McCall they have struggled to get the help that Salvation Army is being paid to provide.
It's a problem homeless advocates have been worried about for months.
I'm getting calls constantly from families living in their cars. They'd like a place off of the street.
Amy Beck came before council last year, then again last month.
Today, I have been calling the Connection Center all day long. It rolls straight to a recording.
She's talking about the Salvation Army's Connection Center, the place people call as a first step to receive resources.
It has become a significant problem. It is a crisis right now.
Families describe no answers and delays in getting back to them.
They get voicemail over and over for the entire day, then they're just out of luck for that day.
Nonprofit House Keys Action Network Denver shared photos from call logs from people trying to get through. One family calling over 400 times.
So families are in crisis. They really need some help, and they need to get inside with their children. So they do call over and over repeatedly.
The Salvation Army called this a resources issue, with 6 staffers on hand to answer calls during high call volumes.
And so if it's a very cold night, they'll be sleeping on the streets again. Whether that's in a tent or a car, they have been left out in freezing conditions because no one is answering the phone.
The Salvation Army says each call can take up to an hour, hence the challenge. But advocates say that comes at the expense of families who are directed to call them as a first step to ask for help.
In a statement, the Salvation Army said in part, quote, "The support and resources that the Salvation Army has to address these growing and alarming challenges is finite. We are dealing with finite resources to address an infinite challenge in our community," adding they shelter 1,800 people every day and stand behind their work.
So as questions are raised, this big contract, do we know when there's going to be an up or down vote on that, or whether it's actually going to happen like that?
I actually just checked the agenda minutes, wanted to see if Denver City Council has a date yet. Couldn't find one as of right now. But what's interesting is that this has taken up a lot of dialogue on City Council. We know that Councilwoman Chantel Lewis, where many of these shelters are located, has been very vocal about this. She has proposed something, the possibility of, rather than giving one big contract to an organization like the Salvation Army, potentially, sort of chopping up the contract, giving smaller portions, specific tasks to smaller organizations.
It feels like one of those things where it's like the bigger the contract is, the harder it is for the city to take it away because they become so interlinked to one another, right?
Yeah, and what's hard too is when, you have All in Mile High, for instance, we talk about Denver shelters and some of Mayor Johnson's initiatives. These are really big programs. And so the Salvation Army, right, is one of the larger providers. And so, of course, it makes sense to use an organization the size of the Salvation Army, but some people are saying it's just simply not working.
Not working. All right, Angeline McCall, thank you very much. International students in Colorado have been losing their visas as the Trump administration cracks down on speech it does not like. Student activists supporting causes the administration opposes have been targeted in other states. And now we know at least 9 students in Colorado have lost their visas, though we do not have details on their individual cases yet. Colorado State University spokesperson confirmed today that 5 of their international students were, quote, impacted by visa revocations in March. CSU says they're working with elected leaders at the state and federal levels to keep students informed of their options if their visa is revoked. The university did not say who these students were or why they were targeted. Spokesperson for the University of Colorado system says 4 of their students lost their visas as well. Those students were from CU's Boulder campus and Colorado Springs campus. Last week, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the Trump administration had revoked 300+ student visas, saying, quote, "They're not here to lead activist movements." And the New York Times reported today Rubio's directing foreign offices to review the social media accounts of student visa holders and visa applicants. The Trump Justice Department says it wants a 20-year federal prison sentence for a Coloradan accused of vandalizing a Tesla showroom in Loveland. That's a longer sentence than the average time served for murder in America. Tesla's become a symbol of the Trump administration, as Tesla's Elon Musk dismantles the federal government and funds the MAGA movement, while President Trump has actually hawked Teslas from the lawn of the White House.
I've made it clear, if you take part in the wave of domestic terrorism against Tesla properties, we will find you, arrest you, and put you behind bars.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, they're talking about the case of Cooper Joe Frederick, who's now facing federal charges for the firebombing of a Tesla service center in Loveland. The federal charge, possession of an unregistered destructive device, is for the Molotov cocktail that investigators say Frederick threw, starting a fire between some Teslas.
Let this be a warning. You can run, but you cannot hide. Justice is coming.
If federal prosecutors succeed in getting a conviction in the Tesla vandalism case out of Loveland, and if a federal judge signs off on a 20-year federal prison sentence, which is not parole eligible, that would be a longer sentence than the average time served for murder in America, according to federal statistics. Colorado is seeing its first confirmed case of measles since 2023, as cases continue to spike across the country. The state's health department says a woman who lives in Pueblo tested positive after coming back from a trip to an area of Mexico where there's currently an outbreak. The person worked at Southwest Deli in Pueblo. CDPHE says people could have been exposed at that deli between March 17th and March 21st. The owner of the deli tells us the woman with measles worked in the kitchen area. The owner says the rest of the staff there is vaccinated. The state says about 94% of Coloradans are vaccinated against measles, but public health leaders are worried about pockets of unvaccinated populations.
Colorado is potentially at risk for outbreaks. But honestly, what is most concerning are pockets of undervaccination that we know exist across all of the state in certain communities, schools, child care facilities where vaccination rates might be well below 80%. And in those communities, that's really where the greatest risk for measles outbreaks exists.
Measles, of course, is highly contagious, also highly preventable. 2 doses of the vaccine, 97% effective against infection. The state's public health leaders say if you are unvaccinated or if you're not sure about your vaccination status for measles, talk to your doctor about your options. When Sundance Film Festival comes to Boulder, we don't know where Leonardo DiCaprio will stay with whatever 24-year-old or younger woman that he's dating at the time. But he might want to get that reservation in soon. As Boulder prepares to host Sundance, one thing's clear. That city does not have all the hotel rooms needed for the event. Here's Mark Salinger.
There's no Hollywood sign on the Boulder Flatirons, but soon Colorado will welcome all the stars.
It'll sell out right away, I'm sure.
At the St. Julian Hotel in Boulder, there's already talk about the Sundance Film Festival. It's still 2 years away.
People are calling, wanting to book. Everybody needs to hang tight just a little bit. We typically release our rooms 365 days prior, and we anticipate a lot of demand for this time.
Boulder has a fair amount of hotel rooms, but likely not enough for everyone that will come to Sundance. Even the governor brought that up at the press conference last week.
When the Sundance Film Festival was evaluating the proposals, they looked at, for instance, room capacity, not just in Boulder, but they looked in Westminster, in Denver, in Longmont, the entire area.
Right here in this area, we have got 10 hotels.
Pat Monticelli is the president of the Broomfield Area Chamber of Commerce.
Anything big that happens here really has a ripple effect up for all of us.
From Broomfield to Longmont.
A festival of this caliber really benefits our entire region.
Cities around Boulder are already preparing for Sundance to fill hotels around the region. Sarah Leonard is the CEO of Visit Longmont.
You know, Longmont doesn't have a huge inventory of hotels, but the collaborating with our friends in Boulder and throughout the region, we can ensure that we can welcome the thousands of visitors that come to Boulder.
Boulder will fill up.
We're used to seeing sellout weekends, and with Sundance, there's no question Boulder will be sold out.
And maybe the stars will discover new places in Colorado.
Things like Sundance, when these things come around and we can show people what we've got here in Broomfield, that's really important to us.
So we look forward to welcoming visitors to Longmont and to support our local businesses.
Sundance says nearly 73,000 people came to the film festival last year when it was held in Utah, with about 24,000 visiting from out of state. We reached out to Visit Boulder yesterday to try and get a gauge for the exact number of hotel rooms in Boulder, but didn't get a response. It's clear, though, from the beginning that the bid to get Sundance to Colorado relied on using hotel rooms from around the region, Kyle.
All right, this is kind of baked in. It's not that Boulder is so big that it's going to be able to handle this full influx. The question is, if you're some shiny, fancy star from someplace else, do you want to stay in Boulder or do you want to stay in some suburb, which might be lovely, but you've never heard of it?
Exactly. And I'm also interested in the Boulder airport. Are they prepared for all those private jets flying in?
Oh.
Another story, somewhere on the line.
Well, look.
There's going to be a lot of private jets.
If only we knew reporters who could keep asking these
We'll be on it.
It's fascinating stuff. Leo and his young friend of the day, they should get in that res soon. All right.
If they want to stay in Boulder, yes.
Mark, thank you. Colorado Congresswoman Brittany Petterson's push to allow proxy voting in Congress for new parents like her stopped the U.S. House in its tracks today. Republican leaders have canceled votes for the rest of the week after their failed attempt to kill Petterson's proxy voting push. Now, she's a Democrat, but she has support for this idea from some Republicans. House Speaker Mike Johnston says this idea that Petterson is pushing is unconstitutional. He says any exceptions to in-person voting are a slippery slope. Petterson and her allies got a majority of the House to sign on to a move in defiance of the House Speaker to bring it up for a vote anyway. Leadership be damned. And enough Republicans voted with her today. She was there on the floor, her young son in tow.
It is unfathomable that in 2025, we have not modernized Congress to address these very unique challenges that members face. We're asking you to continue to stand with us because no mom or dad should be in the position that I was in and so many parents have found themselves in. It is anti-woman, it's anti-family.
So we still don't know when the actual question on proxy voting is going to hit the House floor because they've canceled votes for the rest of the week. Sent everybody home. The House Speaker called the loss disappointing. Said Republicans will regroup. So DIA is getting crowded lately, and so is the road to and from the airport. Cities considering ideas to make the trip easier. It will not be cheap.
These are Jefferson County school kids building a Jefferson County school.
Students helping to build something for their peers. A school for special needs students with some in-house construction talent. Denver City Council just approved $15 million to figure out a better way to get people to and from the airport. A study will look at new designs for Pena Boulevard, examining the environmental impacts, asking the public for ideas. They're considering a bus-only lane, a toll lane, or a carpool lane. Council voted 9-2 to move ahead with the study. The 2 no's were from council members who said the plan should be looking at options to improve the RTD A-line train service out there. DIA says that's not off the table, but it's not part of this study. Airport leaders insist the contract does not necessarily mean that the highway will be expanded. We've talked here about induced demand. When you widen a highway, it just encourages more people to drive and fill it with cars. The study will last for 5 years.
Tracking a few rain showers across the metro area tonight, a little bit of thunder as well, and some moderate mountain snow and wind that will continue overnight. Current temperatures were a chilly 41 in Denver, but almost 70 in southeastern Colorado. Winds have been really blustery, especially around DIA. Check ahead with your flight at the airport just to make sure these thunder showers coming off the foothills and tracking northeast are not impacting flights in and out of DIA. A little thunder, a little lightning, a little rain, even some growlpool is possible. And it is possible that rain could briefly mix with snow, but all of the accumulating snow stays in the mountains with this winter weather advisory out through tomorrow morning. Brief rain and snow showers overnight tonight, then skies will clear. We get a little bit of a break tomorrow ahead of the next stronger storm. Potential weather impact days for Thursday and Friday. It is Friday night into Saturday. We could see several inches of snow right here in Denver.
Students with special needs in Jeffco needed a better place to learn, so some of their peers are getting their hands dirty to help. That's next. There's a school construction project in Jefferson County that can involve more than 100 workers at a time. 3 of them stand out. Our Byron Reed explains.
Making something meaningful starts with getting your hands dirty.
When we first got here, it was rain and mud everywhere.
For high schooler Samuel Salinas, Jackson Holinsky, and Anson Bryant, the conditions are part of what makes this project so special.
We just had the rain come in, so it's really muddy. Doing a lot of sweeping, covering up windows, making sure that we're trying to keep the inside of the site clean.
The 3 are seniors at Bear Creek High School and are interning for the semester with Crossland Construction Company.
It makes senior year a lot more fun, and especially because you're working towards a career that you want after high school.
Go 121.
They're helping to build a new 68,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility for students with special needs.
So this is Fletcher Miller. It's the new building for the nonverbal. So we're gonna build them a new building and then tear down their old one. And it should be a great improvement because this building was made in the 60s.
Both Bear Creek and Fletcher Miller are part of the Jefferson County School District. The students feel it's important to give back.
You know, I've always felt like, doing my part was a big part of my life, making sure that all of my resources could go to other people, especially people with disabilities.
These are Jefferson County school kids building a Jefferson County school. So it's a really, really great program.
Wayne Murdoch is the project superintendent for Crossland Construction. He believes the internships are important in building a pipeline of new workers.
Construction as an industry is getting older. And it's great to be able to get some of these young guys in here, start showing them the ropes, get them learning, get them into the plans. Let them get some hands-on.
These 3 are here to help the next generations, even if it means working in the mud.
A lot of people count on you to get your job done so that they can get their job done.
For Next,
it just makes you feel good at the end of the day.
I'm Byron Reed.
That new space will be used by students up to age 21 with areas for adaptive physical education, arts, and intensive therapy. That project should be completed by December. What in the actual... Here comes your feedback. Next. Feedback tonight from a viewer named Linda about the Fed seeking a 20-year federal prison sentence for the man accused of firebombing a Tesla showroom in northern Colorado. Linda says, just incredible that attacking Elon Musk is domestic terror, yet the January 6th insurrection was okay and the guilty parties were pardoned. Linda says, what have we done? Well, what President Trump has done is he's delivered on a campaign promise, Linda. He specifically outlined how he was going to use the judicial system in order to protect his friends and allies, including those who engaged in violence against law enforcement on January 6th, while simultaneously using the Justice Department to go after his perceived opponents and enemies, like the people who are attacking the company owned by his billionaire best bud, Elon Musk. Like it or not, what we are seeing is a campaign promise playing out. See you next time.